Hello and welcome to my channel GlowWithin. I'm Babyface Tay and we're just gonna get right to it. I have cleaned and moisturized my face. If you have primer, even better. You can apply that before you start applying makeup as it acts as protection for your face from the products you're using. I just used my spoolie to brush my brows before starting on them, and now I'm using a simple brow pencil from the beauty supply store. They're only like $1 and I've been using them for years. You can't go wrong, especially with beauty on a budget, okay? So I'm just outlining the shape of my brows right now. I am not filling them in just yet. It's best to do this on eyebrows that are already done if you want more of a crisp and clean arch. But if you're just going over your natural brows, start by outlining the shape of your brows. And whatever you do to one side, do to the other. So don't just do one brow and then the other. Just do each brow step by step on each side. Now I'm just going in and cleaning up that outline on both my brows, making sure that I'm getting the lines as clean as possible. You want to make the outline as neat as you possibly can, but don't be alarmed if you mess up because we will be cleaning this up with concealer next. After outlining the brows, you can then fill them in. This is why it's important to brush your brows before doing them, just because it makes it easier to follow the growth of your natural brow hairs, and you're basically just shading in the brows, not going outside of that first outline that you drew. So the outline acts as like a guideline for your brow shape so that you don't end up with big, huge, thick brows unless that's the look you're going for. Once you are satisfied with the shape and look of your brows, go back in with your spoolie. It's like a mascara brush without the mascara. Quick tip, you can even take an old mascara brush and clean it and let it air dry, and it will act as a spoolie. And so I am using this spoolie to brush the front of my brows so that they look more natural. I am also taking that spoolie towards the end of my brows to pick up any clumps and just blending those pencil lines for a more effortless look. Now I am just going back in with my pencil and cleaning up the outline, because when you use the spoolie, it kind of smudges those lines a little bit. So if it smudges or if the spoolie takes off too much product, you can just go back in with your pencil and redefine your outline. Quick little backstory of why I started this channel. I started doing makeup after I lost my job due to COVID at the time, and I really just wanted to feel more confident in myself. And due to being a really creative person, I was just fascinated with how you can redefine your face and enhance your features through makeup. Moreover, I really didn't have a lot of money at the time, so I was working with very little. And then when I started getting compliments on my brows or my look, I thought, hey, maybe I can teach others how to do makeup with very little, and maybe it would boost their confidence too, just like it did for me. Now I am just going in with concealer to clean up the edges of my brows. Depending on how neat your brows are initially, this step can be very simple. For whatever reason though, my camera stopped recording when I first applied the concealer, but I am using the Perfection Multi-Use Concealer by NK, again from the beauty supply store. It was less than $5, y'all. And I just applied it by dabbing little dots underneath my brows, just like I'm doing with the top of my brows, because this concealer has a lot of coverage, so you only need a little. After placing the little dots, I just take my small brush. It's a very tiny brush tip, perfect for use with concealer, and I'm kind of just smoothing out those dots and carefully tracing the outline of my brows. As you're doing this, you're going to see how it's just cleaning up any rough edges and how it really defines those brows and makes them pop. Then I take my small blending brush and I blend the concealer out, further smoothing out that concealer. And when holding your brush, make sure you're holding them at the very base of the brush handle. How low you hold your brush determines how the product is placed on your face, and it also makes it easier to blend and smooth the product so that it isn't cakey. Again, what you do to one side, you must do to the other. So now I'm just applying that concealer to the other brow. Again, placing little dots along the outline of the brow and then taking my small brush and smoothing it out. How y'all feeling today? Y'all still with me? Now again, I'm taking my small blending brush and blending out that concealer, and after placing the concealer and blending it out, you may notice that you might have went over your brows in certain areas, and if you went over the outline too much, you can just take your pencil to redefine those lines. Just try not to go back and forth too much between the pencil and the concealer because you can end up ruining all your hard work, so only do this sparingly. Now I'm just taking my spoolie again and just blending out the front of my brows, just brushing upwards towards the top of my brows. Just do this lightly and do not brush into the concealer, as again, the spoolie kind of gives the brows a smudging effect, and if you do it too much, you can actually end up removing some of the product. Now when placing concealer to the rest of your face, placement matters. My usual placement points for concealer are the inner and outer corners of my eyes, Cupid's bow, chin, and down the bridge of my nose. These are also the places that I usually place my highlight. Not all face shapes are the same, but when it comes down to concealer, great placement points can be on blemishes, around the nose, and under the eyes. When in doubt, start off with a little on one small area and see how it looks. Being that you are applying it before foundation, it is okay if you make a mistake, as you can wipe it away and try again. Notice that I am only using a little bit of concealer. As you can see, I'm just blending out the concealer with my small blending brush, and I am being careful not to blend that product too far outside of where I initially applied it. When blending, always blend in gentle circles, not side to side or up and down. The bridge of your nose is the exception, because you don't want to brush that product to the sides of your nose where contour would go. Use fluid, circular motions when blending, and in small areas you blend in smaller and tighter circular motions. Across wider areas like your face, you blend in wide circular motions. Here I am just taking my big blending brush. I use this on foundation and concealer, and it is really soft and does a great job of blending product outwards for a smoother, softer look. I'm telling you, it's all about how you blend your makeup. Without blending, you end up looking like you're wearing a mask, and you don't want that. If anything, you want it to look like you don't have a lot of makeup on at all. It is also important to consider where you will be going with your makeup on. For bright lights or daytime, in my opinion, it is best to go with light coverage looks so that you look more natural in the light. For darker settings or nighttime, you can go full glam or bold. The products you're using also matter, as cheaper makeup can look pasty under direct sunlight or bright lights, so it is best to have minimal coverage with cheaper products. We are now moving on to my favorite part of my makeup routine, foundation. This foundation I am using is the Absolute Luminous Dream Face Glow Radiance Boosting Skin Tint in 04 shade. This is another beauty supply store purchase, and it was only $6.99. And let me tell you, this foundation is amazing. It's in a small bottle, but again, 1 or 2 pumps of this is all you need for your face. It is very light and just gives my skin this glow. I just put 2 pumps on the back of my hand, and I'm taking my big blending brush to apply that product to my entire face, brushing in wide circles. And this should be pretty self-explanatory, but when choosing your foundation, make sure you choose a shade that accurately matches your normal skin tone. Use the inside of your forearm for a more accurate match, as tans can fade and you don't want to end up with foundation that is darker than your actual skin tone. Or you can use a darker shade in the spring and summertime if you plan to be outside in the sun, and a lighter shade in the fall and winter time. You can just see how it is just brightening up my face and giving me this beautiful shine, and I've kept my makeup on all day, and this does not cake. Another important skincare tip that will help you if you have oily or acne prone skin: drink water. I cannot stress this enough. Cut soda and juice out of the equation if you haven't already. I know it's hard, but ideally you should be drinking 64 ounces of water per day. I drink 90% water and maybe 10% fruit juice. However, whole fresh fruit is better than juice, as juice usually has added sugars. Incorporate this into your everyday routine, and I promise you, you will see a difference in your skin in less than a week. Now we have made it to step 5. This step is where you add bronzer and contour to your face. Again, my camera stopped recording while I was applying my bronzer and contour, but I just set my face with some finishing powder and then applied some bronzer around the top of my forehead and temples and brought that product down to the shadow of my cheekbones. I don't have very prominent cheekbones because I have a round face, so I only used a little. This brings color and dimension back to your face. I also took that product down the sides of my nose and along my jawline. Now I am just cleaning up that applied product with a little concealer to redefine the bridge of my nose. I was listening to music while I did this, so ignore the random dances. I was just having a good time, y'all. Now I am taking my big blending brush and just cleaning everything up for a nice seamless blend. I did cheat a little because I actually don't have bronzer or a contour set yet, so I just took a slightly darker shade from my Centuries eyeshadow palette by She Glam. It is my favorite palette and very versatile. Finally, on to eyeshadow. This is another fun part of doing your makeup because this is where you can get creative and try different looks. I wanted to go for a smoky eye, so I just took my small eyeshadow brush to the very top of my lid. I am using the YSL makeup palette and I am using the mirror as well. This color that I am using is a dark slate gray, and I am just lightly brushing that product very gently on my inner crease, holding my brush at the base. I am just building up that product, and when using eyeshadow you must build up the product, and this can take more than a few applications to get that color nice and solid. I am also taking the time to blend the eyeshadow out to the outer corners of my eyes for a nice lifted look. If you blend downwards, this can drag down your face, so make sure you brush out and up towards that outer crease. This is where there is a natural shadow in the crease of your eyes and you don't want to go outside of that area. It also helps to hold the brush at the very base to help avoid applying too much eyeshadow. Now I am taking that brush to my other eye and continuing to blend up that product. Notice that I am brushing in small sweeping motions, just making sure it is blending evenly, and again taking that brush to the outer corners of my eyes where my outer crease is. And I repeat, make sure you are holding your brush at the very base and you are lightly blending. Eyeshadow can kind of get everywhere if you aren't careful, and a tip when you don't want your product to move, you can apply a nice coat of concealer on your lid first before applying your eyeshadow. You will see me going back and forth between each eye so that the eyeshadow is equally applied to both of my eyes, and as I am blending, I am brushing that product out slightly for a nice gradient effect. Now I'm also applying that eyeshadow to my lower lids. Be very careful and gentle while doing this so you don't end up with raccoon eyes. I think I accidentally brushed my actual eye, so be careful when doing this and don't poke yourself at the eye. And when blending in that product on your lower eyelid, bring it up towards the outer corners of your eyes. Going into my Wander Beauty Wanderous Seascape eyeshadow palette, I am using the Coastal Blue shade, and this one I am going to apply to the inner crease just to add more depth and pop of color. And even though I am blending from the inner crease after first placing that product, I am still blending gently towards the outer crease as well, so that it seamlessly flows into that dark gray. It may seem like I'm not doing much now, but keep watching as I build up that color. Trust the process. Stay with me, y'all. After applying and blending one eye, I also go to the other eye again to ensure even distribution of the eyeshadow, alternating between both eyes as I do so, again in side sweeping motions. Now I am going in with another application, and this should be the point where you feel like all of that building and blending really paid off, because just look at that beautiful blue. This was my first time trying this color, and I was honestly just surprised at how dense this product was. It only took about 3 applications to get that gorgeous shade of blue. Going back into my YSL palette, I will now be using this glittery black shade, and I am just going to apply this to the outer corners of my eyes where I had blended out that dark gray. Being that I went into that shade before, now the black will blend in beautifully and add more depth to the look. This will also really contrast nicely with that blue and make it stand out even more. After doing that, I am now going back with my concealer to clean it up before applying liquid liner. My camera decided to do what it wanted and once again stopped recording when I applied my liner, but maybe it was for the best because I was honestly struggling with it. I don't know how good you guys are with liquid liner, but I messed up about 45% of the time. To clean everything up, I'm going back in with concealer to define and polish that look. Now I will speed this up just a little. Here I am just blending out that concealer and repeating on the other side. It is optional to do this. I just do it because I have huge eyes and a lot of area on my upper eyelids. So when blending, it just makes my eyes look much bigger. With the concealer, I can just clean this up so that my product isn't too far into my eyelids. Moving on to blush, I'm using another beauty supply store find. This is the NYX New York Mineral Blush in Ginger. Did I pronounce that right? Anyway, this is a really quick step. I am just taking the blush to the area above my cheekbones. Highlight is another optional step, and you can apply either before or after your gloss or lipstick. I like to apply at the very end after all my makeup has been applied because it really ties everything together, but I did not use any highlight this time and just added the blush. As I am blending that blush, I am careful not to blend down towards where my contour is, and I am just keeping that in the same area. This blush is very dense. You only need about 1 or 2 applications because when I dip my brush into this blush, I pick up a lot of product. I also take this blush across my nose, just blending that product across to add a bit of subtle color to my face. I do sometimes blend product with my fingers as well, because as you're applying makeup, it can dry and settle a little bit, and you can tell if you are trying to blend with your brush and it's almost like not going anywhere. The warmth in my skin almost melts the product and helps blend it more seamlessly. On to mascara, we are nearing the end. I am using the CoverGirl Lash Blast Volume Mascara. When applying mascara, there are different ways you can do it. You can brush straight up, you can wiggle and twist the mascara as you're going through your lashes. Mine tend to clump together, so I have to wiggle the brush a little and play around with it before I achieve the look that I want. It's really up to you. A nice tip, if your mascara clumps as you're applying, you can pinch your lashes between your index and thumb fingers to remove excess product without having to reapply. Just make sure you clean it off your hands after. I also apply a little mascara to my almost non-existent lower lashes so that they look more existent, and then I am just going to quickly fan my face to just dry that product more quickly. Finally, we are on the last step, lips. Now this channel is supposed to be known for beauty on a budget, and this is why. When you don't have lip liner, you can most definitely use your brow pencil, just like I'm doing here. If you have thinner lips, overlining right above, like right outside your lip line, can make your lips look more fuller. I love a dark lip, so I am starting with this dark brown brow pencil and using it as a lip liner. As I am tracing my lip line, I also fill in the sides of my lips as well because this gives more depth to your lips. Notice how I don't just line my lips, but I take that liner onto the sides of my lips as well. And then I just roll my lips into my mouth to blend that liner, and you can just see the difference. I am now going to apply my lipstick. I honestly do not remember where I got this lipstick from, and I don't even know the name, but I'm sure it was something I bought cheap at the beauty supply store. So I am just applying this lipstick to my lips, careful not to go outside of my lip line. I mean, this is pretty self-explanatory. You just apply lipstick how you apply gloss. And honestly, when it comes to lips, I can really stretch this process out. Sometimes I apply concealer to the edges of my lips and I redraw my lip line before applying, and then sometimes I stretch it into multiple steps like I did for this video. Just don't be afraid to experiment in your free time. Now I'm just rolling my lips into my mouth to blend it all together. I'm not gonna lie, this color is just so beautiful, and liner really adds dimension to the lipstick. I was feeling pretty satisfied with myself at this point because it was just so bold and really made me do a double take. I feel like lips and eyeshadow really define a look. The tie it all together, I'm now going into my YSL palette into this red gloss just to add some shine and moisture, as the lipstick and liner did dry out my lips a little bit and I didn't really want a matte look. Overall, I really enjoyed this look and I hope you guys learned something. And that completes today's tutorial. Let me know what you guys think and comment what you would like to see me do next. Keep glowing. Until next time.